All right, what's going on, Facebook family, and my immediate family, and my know of you family, which is 1979. Go Pilots, right? Well, we're here to talk about what? Spoonman, the book called Spoonman. I want to appreciate everybody purchasing the book, and the ones that's going to purchase the book. You know, of course, the platforms are going to be Amazon. It's going to be Barnes and Noble. Now Walmart have the book, and it's on different other platforms too. So I kind of been traveling around and doing a lot of book signings. I've been speaking a lot of places too at the same time. So right now, I just wanted to put out that challenge for people to ask questions about the book, which I have received some questions. So let's jump into them right now. And we're going to cover chapter 1, 2, and 3 at this time. So the first question that I got, it was, what city did you live in when I was in Florida? Well, of course, you know, I was born in Florida, and I was born in a place called Palatka, Paltka, Palatka, Florida, and it's a couple of miles. It's on the outside of Jacksonville, Florida. But the thing was, I only stayed there for 9 months when I was born, and we moved from Florida, Palatka, Florida, to Newark, New Jersey, where my dad secured a job up there as a police officer. My mom, she was a nurse, and so that's where I started my childhood at. I went to school there, and of course it was rough. It was kind of rough during that time, you know. Of course the riots, 1965 to 1967, where that you had a 5-day riot. You had a lot of people that lost their lives during that time. The question, I had another question, and it says, whatever happened to the little boy that got shot that was inside the book? Well, the little boy that got shot, honestly, it was a result of a 24-year-old guy by the name of William, I think his name was William Furr, black male, had stole a 6-pack of beer, and while he was running down the street, one of the state troopers from the police department ended up shooting him. And when he shot him, the bullet traveled from him and it hit the little 12-year-old boy that was standing behind him. And now earlier, that little boy was shining shoes. Before the riot even jumped off, he was shining shoes. And, you know, they were just playing inside the area. And then, of course, you know, he got caught up in the crossfire. And he ended up getting shot in the neck. And I think he got shot in the leg. And the same doctor that did his surgery was the same doctor that did surgery on my eyes when I was a young kid going to elementary school when I was in Newark, New Jersey. And I ended up having cataracts. And I almost lost my sight. And if it wasn't for this doctor named Dr. Stearns, in fact, he was the one that did my surgery, and he was the one that did the surgery on the little 12-year-old kid. So that was another question. Of course, I had one question that said, how many days did the riot last? Well, last for 5 days. 5 days of a lot of stuff going on. And I was always prayed that my father, he made it out of there, which he did. You know, he would come home and got to change uniforms and go back out on the street. And me and my mom and my brother, we just strictly prayed for him and just made sure that he was safe. My last question for that chapter, it was, do you ever go back to visit in New Jersey? Well, no, I haven't went back to New Jersey. The only time I went to New Jersey was when I was working entertainment security, which wasn't entertainment security. I was handling personal security myself and my friend named, during this time his name was Don Stevenson, but now his name is Hassan. So myself and Hassan, we handle all the security for Purnell Sweet Pea Whitaker. Sweet Pea, my boy, rest in peace, my man. And so that's the only time I really went back to Jersey. And when we was in Jersey, we was strictly in Atlantic City for the fights. I got the opportunity to meet Cory Booker, which was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. But I think he ended up being the mayor like in the 2000s. So that was probably one of the only times that I got the opportunity to really go back to Jersey. And I have been through there like real quick if I was in New York or if I was in Philly or if I was in D.C., you know. So that's one of the only times, okay? Now, chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called The Hood. I can tell you everything about the hood. Everything you want to know about the Tidewater area, I probably can tell you about that. But it said, what street did you live on when you was in Lammers Point? Well, I lived on 49th Street. Can't tell you the address. You know, I kind of forgot the address, but yeah, I lived on 49th Street, and if I would have stayed there, I would have probably went to Maury. Now imagine this here, going to Maury High School, because I played football. You know, we played baseball, we played basketball, we ran track. But imagine this here. Imagine if I would have went to Maury High School. Whew, man, you talking about the track team? The track team would have been a monster because you had some guys that was at Maury that had some jets. You had James Perry. You had my man, I think his name was Terry Wiggins. You had Alvin Parker. You had all those sprinters over there. And then I would have came in, I would have probably ran the last leg or the first leg. That would have been a monster track team. But I ended up going to Norview. Thank God, right? Go Pilots. And so, you know, it was some real good athletes in Lammers Point, man. Lammers Point had some outstanding guys out there, and pretty women. Don't forget that. Pretty women in Lammers Point. So that was about it. Let's get to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is a chapter called Yesterday. And it says, do you remember the team that tore your knee? Well, I guess the team that messed my knee up. When I was playing football at Norview, I ended up getting a knee injury. And I think we played Lake Taylor. And now hold up, let me tell you about this here though. We played Lake Taylor. I was playing JV. And Charles White, yeah, I'm gonna say his name. Charles White was supposed to come to the game, but I don't know what happened, but he didn't ever show up. And so I was strictly the running back on the JV team. And Coach Tigmo told me to go out there and return a punt, which usually Charles White was the one that returned the punts or returned the kickoffs. And I went out there and I returned that punt, and so when I caught that ball, I took a misstep, and next thing you know, I got hit. And you know, the rest is history. And messed my knee up, and it was a 3.5-hour surgery. It wasn't like the new surgeries that they have like right now. It was a 3.5-hour surgery, and it was done by a very good physician. And I, you know, so I just went through that. What was the next question? It says, what coach was your role model? Come on now, Larry Stepney. Larry Stepney was everybody's role model. Everybody. Larry Stepney and Coach James Whitley. Coach Whitley. Coach Whitley was a wrestling coach. Kenny Whitley was the wrestling coach. Of course, Larry Stepney, it was our track coach, and ended up being a football coach, and ended up just doing amazing things, which he's a Hall of Famer. In my book, it was a Hall of Famer a long time ago. So that was a good thing. The other question is, it says, do you believe that the coaches at Norview fairly shop the players? Well, I'm going to say this here. Outstanding athletes at Norview, was we shopped like we supposed to have been shopped when it come down to being recruited by different colleges? I'm going to say it was selective. It was a few, you know, but I think that the guys that I played ball with, a lot of them had the athletic ability where that they could have went to Division I schools. So was we shopped fairly? No, you know, but we all of us had the opportunity to go play. I mean, the outstanding athletes that I played with, man, it was. I wouldn't take that for nothing. I mean, we just had some good ball players. The other question was, how did you meet Carl Harrison? Well, Carl Harrison was, I met Carl Harrison when I had my knee injury. I went to a wedding, which was honestly his wedding. He was marrying a lady that was from our neighborhood, which was in Tyners Creek. And he had just got drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. And my mom worked with the young lady that he was marrying, mom, at Lake Taylor Hospital. And I ended up going to the wedding. And he signed my cast for me, and we just became good friends, and we friends to this very day. So he was the defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles during that time, which I got a lot of opportunity to meet a lot of the players: Ron Jaworski, Harold Carmichael, Will Wynn, Bill Berge, Dick Vermeil. So I got an opportunity to meet all those coaches and players during the time that he was playing. And honestly, Nugget, we call him Nugget. Nugget was the first guy that, well, honestly, he was responsible for me to get my driving license because he let me drive his car. Brand new Lincoln Continental that he had, and I drove his vehicle. That's how I got my license. Okay. The last question in chapter 3 is going to be, oh man. Okay, here we go. It said, who was the best running back to play with no of you during my time? Who was the best running back to play with no of you during my time? Well, I tell you this. Every ball player, every superstar that played with no of you, we never caught the bus to school. Everybody lived in walking distance. So we had running backs that came from Oakmont North. Running backs came from Oakwood. Running backs came from Coronado. We had running backs came from Wellington Oaks and in the surrounding areas. So, I mean, if I can, man, that'd be hard for me to narrow that down. But we had some real good ball players. I can name a few for you though. If I had to go with the top, man, with the top 5, I'm gonna have to say, number 1, I'll say Orlando Good Hope. I'm going to say Ronnie Bagley. I'm going to say Keith Lovely. I'm going to say Calvin White. Oh man, of course, you know Larry Stepney going to be number 1. Number 1. Just and then if you want to go with Dwight Sweat, those are all guys that was really before our time. So, but during my era, you had all of the superstars. You know, you had Ronnie Bagley, the guys that I watch. You had Orlando Good Hope, Keith Lovely, man. You know, and everybody had speed. Yeah, I mean, we had everybody had jets. So we had some monster running backs during that time. So you know, that's about it. I mean, that's all the chapters. You know, those are the questions that I had got in. So just continue buying the book, reading the book. You know, sending the questions in. You know, just message me on the questions, and I really appreciate you guys purchasing the book. You know, I got a lot of love for everybody. And don't forget Spoonman. You can get the book. You can get it in the stores. Walmart is carrying it now. You know, of course, you can go to Amazon and get it. You can go to Barnes and Noble and get it. But you can just Google it, and then it'll come up on different platforms. Now, as far as the pricing is going to still be the same. You know, so I still going to be in control of that part. But just continue supporting the Spoonman book. And wait for Spoonman 2 to come out, which is going to be a monster. You know, Spoonman 2 should be finished in probably December or January. It's all fiction, though. Now, of course, Spoonman 1 was strictly about my life, but Spoonman 2 is going to be all fiction. It's all stories. It should be really out in the stores in 2025, like my dad said, if the Lord spared my life. So my publicist told me that my book should be in circulation. The one that I have now should be in circulation for like a year now. It's like a movie. You make a movie, you know, they wait a couple of years to make a sequence on the movie, and so it's the same thing of the Spoonman book. So you got Spoonman 2 coming out, probably 2025. It'll be finished probably in December of this year or January of 24. But in the meantime, just continue supporting me. Okay then? I love everybody. Thank you very much for giving me the platform to share my life and share my experiences. And like I always say, go know of you, 1979, the Pilots. God bless.